Where you from?
From New York City, the Bronx,
What part of the Bronx?
the South Bronx, Courtlandt Avenue.
What was it like back then?
Well, growing up in the Bronx, you had a sense of community. Everybody, kind of, knew each other. What I'm saying, it was just difficult times. You know what I'm saying, difficult place. You learn how to survive.
Well, you see a lot of videos from back then. I mean, from what my parents have told me, how Brooklyn was, but then you see videos of the South Bronx, like in, I would imagine the 80s or whatnot, and you see the abandoned buildings and the rubble and, kids playing on mattresses. Is that accurate?
Yeah, pretty much so. It's a lot of abandoned buildings. Yeah, I guess you can equate it not as much so to like Lebanon.
Wow.
Yeah, it was that kind of bad. Yeah.
So you stayed in the tenements over there? You stayed in the projects over
I
there?
stayed in Jackson Projects, Andrew Jackson Projects. In Melrose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not too close. Not too far from Yankee Stadium. Like 10 minutes from Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, definitely. Erica's family's over there from Melrose.
Oh,
They're from
really?
Melrose and 154th. So I remember we used to leave right from her Uncle Eddie's apartment, and we used to make a left, and we'd hit Courtlandt, and we walk all the way up to like 3rd Avenue. And yeah, it's even when we went, it probably, I didn't see, what it looked like in the 80s, but, you could tell it's a very active area.
Yeah,
There's
most
a lot,
definitely.
there's a lot going on. What was home like when you were starting off?
Well,
Mom and dad were there?
Well, to be kind of open, I was raised pretty much by my grandmother at that time,
Her name?
Pauline Gant.
Yeah.
Yeah, God bless her soul. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
She was like the mother of the whole neighborhood.
Wow.
Put it way. She's heart big as, big as can be. She'll help somebody. Matter of fact, I remember one day coming to my grandma's house. I see nothing but 5, 6 homeless people sleeping on the floor.
I always laugh at this story.
I'm like, I said, Nanny, what you doing? And she called her Nanny. But I'm saying that's the type of person she was. God bless her soul.
And she was an interesting case because, I mean, that area, I guess it depends on the era, because I heard that area used to be very, like, Italian, Irish, like the South Side. And she was, if I recall, she was Sicilian?
Yeah, she was Italian. At that time, that was before my time when that area was predominantly like Italian and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But she was pretty much like the only white lady in the projects.
That's beautiful.
I probably like a few others, but
Yeah.
everybody knew her. Everybody knew her. So, you know what I mean? She's
I've always loved that about New York because, like, I have an aunt that when she came over from Cuba in the 80s, she went to Queensbridge, right? And over there in Long Island City. And mind you, old Cuban lady, very light-skinned, very fair-skinned, and she's literally lived there for like 50 years and never had an issue. You know what I'm saying? I remember we walked by the mural that they have for Nas and stuff like that. She's like, I saw that kid grow up. I remember when he used to be rapping on the corner and things like that. So that's one thing about New York is there's a lot of respect in that regard, or, that era, especially when you have figures like that in a place where not everybody had a strong maternal presence, So in that era, or as you're coming up, what were some of the interactions you had with spirituality? Like,
Well, at that time, I was pretty. I come from a checkered past.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, like in the '80s, you know, majority of my family was in the Christian church, the Baptist church. So as far as me coming into contact with spirituality, it was from that perspective, like the Christianity, et cetera, et cetera.
And what were your memories of church? Like, were you guys going every Sunday? Was it infrequent?
It was infrequent. I mean, it depended on if I'm over at my aunt's house, because I bounced back and forth to different homes, me and my little brother, depending on what home we was. But, we used to go to revivals in the tents and, people jumping around, Holy Ghost, the super cadence from the preacher, all that stuff. So that's the only contact of spirituality that I had at that time.
How'd you feel there? As a young man, you're seeing all these energetic, intense things occurring. Did it resonate with you? Was it just like, I'm here because I have to be here? What was kind of your reaction?
To be honest, I was just there to be there.
Yeah.
I didn't really give too much deep thought, or I was just there because they told me I had to be there. So
Word.
yeah.
So those were your first interactions. At what point do you start now mentally saying there's more than just, the good looking guy on the wall with the blue eyes and, people speaking in tongues?
Well, what really got me interested, personally, in spirituality is that a few things, weird spiritual things happened in my life that really woke me up and really, taught me that spirituality is real. It's there's more than meets the eye, put it that way.
What were some of those experiences?
I remember this when I was living in Boston. My first this spiritual episode I had was my aunt sent me to the store. I'll never forget. She told me to get the Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Oh man, the classic, yo.
The 𝗿𝗶𝗸𝗏, whatever.
Oh my God.
So I'm walking to the park. I cut through the hole in the fence. Right, it's nighttime, it's black outside. I'm taking a shortcut, and then I'm walking. All of a sudden, I just dropped to the ground. Like nothing was wrong with me. Why did I fall to the ground? Then I tried to get up, couldn't get up. Something was holding me, pinning me to the ground. Then this episode probably lasts for probably 60 seconds or something like that, and I was scared to death. When whatever was on me finally let me up, I got up and I ran to the store. On the way back, I took the long way back home.
You ain't go through the fence.
I didn't go through the fence. But that part, what I'm saying, that experience, you showed me that there was something more than physicality that, what I'm saying, every day we see. Yeah.
Mm. Now, before Ifa, what were some of the things that you started delving into as far as interactions? Because knowing you, you've experienced a lot, you've studied a lot. What were some of the steps you went through before actually arriving in a African traditional aspect of things?
My first interest in spirituality was in Kabbalah, Jewish mysticism.
Educate people for people who don't really know what that is.
Well, it's a tradition within the Jewish Judaism, and they got a rule: you got to be 40 years old to study and stuff like that.
Ifa used to be like that.
Yeah,
they used to not do Ifa to you until you were a 40-year-old man. They said until the age of 40, a man didn't have enough experience to teach.
And so Kabbalah is metaphysics.
Nice.
It's metaphysics. You're tapping into things that's spiritual. You're tapping into energies, et cetera, et cetera. I remember I was in Israel. So I went to Israel, and this was another spiritual experience I had. I was at a conference. I'm sitting down next to bankers, doctors, politicians, and I'm a street guy from the Bronx.
Yeah.
But I'm that interested in Kabbalah, so I'm at this conference, and they calling people to the stage, and they singing, they dancing, they chanting. So one of the guys on stage, one of the rabbis on stage, told me to come on stage.
Oh man!
So I, got up, I walked. When I walked up the 3 steps to the stage, God is my honest truth. It's like I walked into a wall of syrup, like blue, and I was walking. And everything was in slow motion.
Wow.
It was the weirdest experience. And then they grabbed me, and we started dancing.
Nice.
I came back to my seat, and that experience really stuck with me because it was like the atmosphere from the audience where you're sitting at and to the stage was totally different.
Well, I mean, when you're talking about, because I've seen, I think some of the dances that you're referring to, they're cleansing the space. There's definitely a different energy up there. When you have so many initiated men and versed men, it's like you entered into the vortex. It reminds me a lot about Ifa because you having been in all the rooms, when you cross the curtain, it's a different energy. So that's definitely interesting stuff. And, what came after? Because, I know you're part of a couple other societies and things like that. What was your next step after you kind of reached a certain level in Kabbalah where you're looking for more?
I only brushed the surface of Kabbalah.
Sure.
I only brushed the surface, only scratched the surface. And I was living in Los Angeles at that time. And when I came back from the experience, I was studying the Zohar. I was reading this, that, and stuff like that. But I just happened to,
stumble
on a different tradition. This tradition. this organization is based out of Boston, Massachusetts. A beautiful, beautiful tradition, and it's the 𝗃𝗵𝗃, the College of the Magi.
Nice. Educate people. Who are these people?
I think my instructor has a Rosicrucian background.
Okay.
I think he has a Rosicrucian background, but it's dealing with like the 7 African powers.
Sure.
It's like I think everything comes from the same pool of knowledge. They got the seven masters.
Okay.
And they deal with Egyptian masters or intelligences or angels or Orishas or whatever you want to call them. And that was definitely I learned a lot from that.
And you look at, like you say, archetypes, right? Because I've spoken to people who are into like divine geometry, the archangels, and then the brief instances that we've been able to speak about the Magi and things like that, and just seeing the parallels and whatnot. You were already falling into that which was leading you towards Ifa, because all of the things that you were in esoterically had a lot of those same concepts. So when did you first hear about Ifa?
Be honest, I had to smile. After it was in prison.
Nice.
It was in prison.
What was that experience like?
It was the book 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗁.
Okay. Yeah. The classic. Was it the Santeria one?
Yeah, Santeria.
Nice. Shout out to her. Yeah, I think everybody's read that one. That was kind of everybody's first door.
And that was my first introduction to this side of the tradition of Ifa, Santeria, and stuff like that. So I seen the parallels.
Yeah.
I seen the parallels, and I just got very, very interested. And I always promised myself that once I got out, that I was going to really change my life for one, and really delve into Santeria, Ifa, and really seeing it to see what it's about.
Before we get to that encounter now, when you exit prison, I mean, there's a lot of things going on nowadays, and you being someone that went through that experience, survived, and is now thriving afterwards, what advice can you give to young men and women who are going down that same path that you were on that led you to that environment?
Well, definitely the choices you make is going to really dictate where you end up at. So making the best choices. Sometimes, the best choice is a hard choice. And some people, in my opinion, are only offered a few choices depending on your situation. But you always try to take the high road. You always try to take the even if, how can I put it? Even if that choice is gonna make it even that much harder, because the easiest choice sometimes, whether it's cutting a corner here or there, can lead to that situation of prison, death, et cetera, et cetera.
Based on the conversations we've had, it's definitely not the place to be.
Not at all. Not at all.
And I always remember another conversation we had where you spoke about how, being from the projects and being from, said environment almost groomed you to be in prison. Whether it was the environment, the building, the ambiance, all these different things. And, it makes you wonder, right? What conditions are being placed upon us to end up there, But luckily, we make it out of prison, right? So what are your next steps in Ifa then? What did you go to your first botanica? Did you know somebody?
Well, I knew a Babalawo who introduced me to Ifa, he took me to his godfather. And, I got my first reading there. And I guess it was destined for me, through the reading for me to go in the room, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Become a Babalawo. So from that point on, I start, studying and delving into the tradition, and I fell in love with it because I love the colors.
Yeah.
I love the dance.
Yeah.
I love the music. I like the camaraderie. I like the family unit. And most of all, I like it's powerful. Ifa is very powerful.
Oh yeah,
most definitely, it's definitely powerful. It's definitely a powerful spiritual tradition, and bottom line, it gets results.
That is true. We're all about results. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, philosophy is beautiful, so is theology, but everything has to be practical, especially now when time is of the essence, you know. And Ifa works in ways that are chilling. You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh my God, you know, even when you least expect that result, it hits you out of nowhere and you're like, whoa, you know, so it'll move mountains for sure. So you went through a couple steps before becoming Babalawo, right? So, you know, a big thing for you was ultimately getting scratched in Mayombe or Palo as well. You know, talk about those processes leading up, because you have some interesting stories about spirits in your court and ancestors and whatnot in that faith.
Well, I had a Misa, but before that, like, you know, being initiated in the Maji, called the Maji, you know, this is a story. I'm gonna give you a story. One time, you know, I got a reading, and I had 1 foot in the street and 1 foot on the path, and I was reading, and this lady that I hold dear to me, and to this day, her name is Diane, and she was like, "Somebody's gonna try to kill you." I said, "Oh, somebody's gonna try to kill me?" I said, "Okay." She said, "No." She gave me a talisman. She said, "Keep this in your wallet. Never take it off you, whatever." All right, 6 months passed down the line. I lost the talisman.
Oh God.
Yeah, I lost the talisman. But I'm in a bar, right?
Where?
It's just in Boston. I'm in the bar. I come out the bar. I get into my car. I stick the key into the ignition.
What kind of car?
It's a Q45. So I stick the key in the ignition, and just before I turned the car on, somebody came and knocked on the window with a gun. Boom, boom, boom.
Right there, point blank.
Point blank range. Turned the gun on me, and I can't count the shots, but at least like 8 shots. Point blank range. 8 shots. So I managed to like hop over the middle part of the car, get out the passenger side of the door, and I run into the bar, and I strip naked because I wanted to see where I was hit at.
Word.
I seen some blood come on my leg. I put my clothes back on. I run out. I try to get in the car, right? Car's whole shot up. Tires flat, doors, holes everywhere. So the ambulance heard the shots, came. I got in the ambulance. Make a long story short, I went to the hospital. They taking x-rays on my leg, right? They coming back saying, we don't see the bullet in your leg, right? I said, well, I'm bleeding a little bit. It got to be something. So they said, all right, we go back and we go check. At that time, detectives run into the room.
Of course.
Right? Who shot you? I don't know. You know, it was a light-skinned guy. I don't know. You know what I mean? I just seen a blur and heard shots. They said, well, give me your ID. So my pants is on the dresser next to the hospital bed. I reached in there for my wallet and for the license, and I pulled out the bullet. So the bullet was in my pocket.
Good God.
Right. So I mean,
so the pressure of the bullet caused you to break a little skin.
That's it. Just scratched me. You know, and this was told to me 6 months prior.
Shout out to Diane.
Yeah,
Shout out to the talisman.
Yeah.
It's really interesting because, you know, our things, they break or get lost usually right before they're about to save us. So, you know, it was either you or the talisman. I tell you, John, you know, when you see the gun in your face and you start hearing the shots, what is going through your mind?
To be honest with you, like I'm gonna give you like an example. If you know somebody's looking for you, you're more nervous, or you be more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
More on edge.
Word.
But at the moment, there's no fear. All is reaction. It's all innate, you know what I mean, reaction. So, you know what I'm saying? You don't have time to think you're on autopilot. And, you know what I mean? It's just after the fact, you're like, I really tried to kill me, or somebody really tried to kill me. But that moment, no fear, no nothing. You're just automatic. You're not even thinking.
What goes through your mind then when you see the bullet now and you realize?
No, I think that's why I'm telling the story
Yeah,
today,
like
because
in the pocket.
it's a testimony. It's a testimony that showed me, you know what I mean, that these things are official. These things are real.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, pinch yourself. You know, you here, but there's other things here other than yourself. You know what I mean? There's a different. You know what I'm saying? There's a. You know, I can't say it's finer. You know what I'm saying? But there's more to it than what we see with our own two eyes.
Yeah, that's wild. Especially, I would imagine the ID was in your wallet.
Yeah.
That's where the talisman was. You know, so that's wild. You know, there's things you can't make up. Near-death experiences leading into initiation. You know, what was your experience with Mayombe like? You know, going through the Palo ceremony. How much you enjoyed it? How impactful was it?
I was a little nervous. You know, I can't tell you exactly.
You hear things, you know.
You know what I'm saying? But but it was intense. It was intense. You know, just a lot of to become a Babalawo is intense.
Sure.
Most of the ceremonies are intense. The rituals is intense. You know, you have to be spiritually strong and physically strong.
Yeah.
You gotta have a big heart. But that experience was beautiful, man. The singing, everything was beautiful. You know, I felt, even though I was a little nervous, but I felt like I was in good hands. I was in good hands.
That's important. So, from the Palo part, how long did it take before you jumped into 𝗃𝗏𝗏? Was it a back-to-back thing with you?
Yeah, it was right back to back.
And you did it in Cuba?
I did in Cuba.
What was crowning 𝗃𝗏𝗏 like? You know, when they're taking you out and you're doing the candies and all that?
I love it. I love the experience. It's like I was in Cuba, but I felt like I was in Africa.
Yeah.
I swear it was just like I was in Africa.
And then from there, you know, they jump you into the room of Ifa. You know, you talk about the experience with the ceremony and the process upon you. You know, what is going through your mind now that you have this position within the spirituality, now that you're a high priest, and you know, what is going through your mind now as far as you moving forward?
Well, first of all, I say responsibility. When any rank or whatever, any title comes with responsibility. You have responsibility to yourself, your family, your house, and just, you know, to the world, you know what I'm saying, as a whole. You know, you're not giving gifts to hoard, you know, and keep them to yourself. You gotta help somebody. That's how I feel.
So, as you're moving forward now, because you talk about a checkered past and whatnot, you know, that constant, you know, balance between right and wrong. How has Ifa helped you maintain a righteous path?
First of all, I know spirituality is real, right? There's rules to everything. The universe got rules.
Yeah.
That's how Ifa operates. So, I mean, there's certain tenets that as Babalawos or as the Maji or as, you know, a lot of these societies, you know, that we have to abide by. Your character, good character, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you know, I'll be honest with you, a lot of these tenets is more stringent than the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
The Ten Commandments, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, it's very stringent. I mean, you got to be upstanding. You got to be righteous.
Now, do you think Ifa now is a magnet for people who are trying to live the other way? You know what I'm saying? People are trying to do things that are possibly illegal or, you know, not accepted by society. Do you think that you're seeing more of a gravitation of that to us? And why do you think it facilitates people who are doing things like that? Why do they think they can get benefits out of Ifa?
You mean, let me see if I understand you, Kirk. You saying like people that want to embrace the religion, want to embrace it, but still do what they're doing?
Exactly.
Well, I think they might go get a reading one day, right? And some sign hits the ground, right? They say do X, Y, and Z, right? They already, you know,
they're doing the rest of the alphabet already. They're doing everything under the sun already.
You already know that. And they get results.
Yeah.
So they see the validity. They see the power in Ifa, right? But a ruler got eyes, so you know.
Yeah.
So you ain't gonna be able to just do what you want to do, you know, especially like that. But I think they really they think that they can have protection. I think that they feel they can indulge in the negativity and still be protected.
Well, we know it comes to an end at some point.
Oh, most definitely.
Can you give us an instance, without specifics, of course, of when you've seen a brother, feel Rula's wrath? You know what I'm saying? After doing things he wasn't supposed to, kind of playing both sides of the field.
Well, I'm gonna give myself an example.
Yeah.
Right. And I was heavy in the street. You know, I was doing everything, selling drugs, whatever, trafficking.
Yeah.
And I kept on going back to the wealth. You know what I'm saying? Like, help me. And I always got help.
Yeah.
I always got help. So you go in the courtroom, the papers is missing. Something, you know what I mean? Like,
one in a million.
Yeah, 1 in a million shots. And and it was like I was a Teflon Don. Okay?
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
The 𝗶𝗸𝗲𝗍.
Yeah. But you know, and it came to a point where I was facing a lot of time, right? And I got 2 kilos of cocaine and some money. I was facing a lot of time, and I went same routine. I need help.
Yeah.
So I need spiritual help, and that spiritual help didn't come.
Yeah.
And at the reading, they're saying that I couldn't be doing what I'm doing. You keep on coming back, and you think that you're going to get help, and that's not always the case. But I did get help because I got 17 years, day for day, but I only did 10.
Wow.
You know, through the grace of the
Gave 7 back. Yeah.
Gave 7 back.
Now, how does somebody get through 10 years in prison? I mean, mentally. You know, what is your process?
Well, I mean, everybody's different.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. Different makeups. You know, some people lean into vice. You know, some people get worse than they was when they. You know.
How accessible are vices inside?
Yeah, like. Pretty much like, you know, we got everything.
It's like going to the corner.
They go in the corner. Maybe not that, extensive though, but
they'll get it.
Yeah, but you'll get it. You can get it. You know, they got all kind of drugs, but you could, so you can lean towards your vices or your physical vices. You know what I mean? As far as
the alternatives.
Yeah, alternative movement.
Yeah.
I mean, but everybody copes. You know what I'm saying, with their time differently. Me, I embraced. I lived in the law library because I always, I was always kicking and scratching.
Very educated in law, yeah.
Yeah, trying to find a loophole, find some way that I can shorten my time or get out early or whatever. Besides that was spirituality. It was books, and more books. Yeah. You know?
So you educated yourself, you oriented yourself. Mm-hmm. Now, when it came with the study of law and things like that, especially with your own motivation, I mean, how far did you get? Like, from an acumen standpoint?
I pat myself on the back.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Through the help, spiritual help though, but I found the way out.
Yeah.
I found the way out. And the lawyers, the lawyers wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, no.
So I had to find my own way out. And that's why, I'm here. But right now I should be probably home only for like 4 years or something like that because I was still been in prison like 4 years ago. Yeah.
I think it's so ironic because I remember we've talked about how intelligent some of the brothers are in there. Like you have prison lawyers, accountants,
everything under the sun.
It's just the most incredible thing. You think you put these men under the right conditions with the right resources and, we could have had a lawyer. We could have had a doctor. We could have had a Babalawo. We could have had so many other things with the pressures of our environment. It's hard. It's like you say, it's about choices. How do you feel about Ifa now? I mean, as you're looking around, you got the internet, you got Facebook, you see, how do you feel about Ifa now, positively and negatively?
Well, I have to be frank. I mean, I think Ifa, it's like it's dying a little bit, I would say, and I'll say it's watered down a little. It's getting watered down, a little bit. As far as like you said, why do these elements come into Ifa thinking that they can straddle the fence?
Yeah,
I mean, but we still have a strong, especially what I'm saying, in your house, and I'm pretty sure a lot of houses in America, we still got a strong. The flag, Ifa's flag is still, still planted. But I'm just thinking that on the peripheral, there's a lot of drama, a lot of chaos.
Do you think that's what's killing it? Do you think
I think that's part of it, and I think I think you can't just point at one thing. I mean, if you could point at society as a whole, it's so many different distractions, so many different problems. Even being a priest of Babalawo, you still have to really sometimes, kick and scratch to be able to study because you got to make a living. You got to do this. You got to do that. And through the grace, through the grace of the Most High, the Orishas, and we find a way.
Yeah.
We definitely find a way.
I tell you, you're one of the examples that I view as far as fatherhood. I remember when we first started interacting, we would call you, I'd hear, the cartoons playing in the background, I'd video call you, your daughter's climbing on your head, You've been a father many times over. But, this recent experience, especially, your child now being a seed of Ifa, being born of, that divine sacrament of Ifa within you, how has this been a little different for you now, especially with you preparing to bring, your child into this culture,
Well, I believe the older you get, the better father you are.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So by me having, 𝘃𝗶𝗱𝗁, that's her name, my baby.
God bless her.
You know what I mean? She came when I was a little older. So I'm more mature, I'm more wiser, and I'm more patient. But yeah, she's like Ifa. I love her like that. There's no bounds that I would cross. For her. But the experience with her is at having her like that. I think that it made me a better father. Yeah, it made me a better father.
It's especially, I think, what you had told me before, you were incarcerated for some periods of time with your other children's lives and whatnot.
It's a killer.
Yeah. Well, I was actually talking about that with James yesterday. The most inhumane thing I've ever seen is, you look at National Geographic and you look even an animal, you take away its child or the loss of a child, you see it in them, the pain that they go through and whatnot. It's probably the most inhumane thing there is, that separation. And it's for both parents, Mom is mom. We understand that as men. There's nothing above the divine feminine, but a good father is a great thing, and you definitely are that. Now, John, you're an interesting guy. You've been around the world.
Yeah, I travel a little bit.
Yeah. So you speak about Israel and stuff like that. What was it like going to Dubai?
Dubai was it was fun. It was it was hot.
Oh, sure.
It was hot. It was to me. It was like the I don't know if you're familiar with the cartoon, the Jetsons.
Of course,
but,
yeah.
I mean,
Elroy.
Yeah. But it was like that. The architecture. It was just amazing experience. Yeah. And every time I go to a different place, I always get the general knowledge through the cab driver, to the taxi driver.
That's that guy.
You know what I mean? So I asked him all the questions.
Yeah.
And I was just learning about their system, as far as like the political system, et cetera.
How are things working over there? What's the big differences?
Well, it's under a king.
Yeah.
It's under a king.
Very rich king.
Yeah, very rich. Say if you work 9 to 5, you automatically get 3 months off.
Just like that. You're working. You got a quarter of the year off.
You get 3 months off. You get I think a yearly stipend for housing. Yeah. You don't pay taxes, and you don't pay medical.
It's paradise. Yeah. I'm surprised you came back.
But I also seen. I have to be honest. I seen a little. I would say a little bit of racism there too, though.
Yeah.
I noticed it a little.
From what demographic? Like to them towards just people of a darker skin tone.
Yeah, from Africa, because a lot of Uganda.
That's ironic. You wouldn't expect that because you'd think so much sun over there. People have a little bit of a little melanin, a little tanned up.
But I've seen it there though, so it does exist. I'm not saying it's prevalent.
Yeah.
Probably it's probably. I'm saying that.
Like undertones, you gotta know what to look for. You gotta be paying attention.
Yeah. But other than that, though, Dubai is definitely a beautiful place.
Yeah. Well, it makes you think twice about doing anything illegal when the cop's driving a Lamborghini.
Oh no,
you can't get away.
You can't. That's the most. That and Egypt is like those type of countries are the most safest.
What was it like going to Egypt, brother?
Egypt was
standing on the sand, looking at the pyramids. That's probably my favorite photo of you sitting on the camel.
Yeah. Hey, that was majestic. Egypt is a majestic place. You know, it's definitely a divide of the haves and have-nots. But the culture is beautiful. One example, I said it was one of the safest places in in the world. I would say, picture yourself in a jewelry store, gold everywhere, all the cases are open, and nobody's in there to help you.
They're that solid.
That's solid. Then they come like 10, 15 minutes. Oh, can I help you? Here's some tea or coffee or whatever. I mean, that's how safe it is. You ain't stealing nothing out of there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what was it like standing in front of the pyramids? Like, besides the pyramids, did you see the Sphinx?
The Sphinx. I've been on the Nile River. I did, but see, I was not there as a tourist, though. I was there as a tourist and as doing,
because the Maji have their roots in Egypt. So is that like with you guys? Is it almost like, I think in Islam it's called the Hajj, where you go back to Mecca and stuff like that? Do you guys have that obligation to go back to Egypt, or is it encouraged? Or
it's not like the Hajj, you know what I'm saying? But periodically that the Maji has to go back to Egypt.
Yeah.
For whatever for reasons I probably can't.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, but they have to go back to do certain things.
Yeah.
To keep certain things.
Well, the little bit that I've heard about you guys are the guardians. You guys, the secrets and whatnot that were housed in ancient Egypt belong to you guys. So, but what kind of energy was it like? You have the pyramids right in front of you.
I went inside the pyramid. You could go inside.
What's it like in there?
Very cramped.
Really?
But I mean, it has to be. I mean, if you go to some of these temples, it's impossible for these people. Like, how did these people, you know what I'm saying, make these monuments, these temples, I mean, you go down the wall, it's like, you go inside of a mountain, and all the walls like marble, that smooth.
And these things are tons.
Tons upon tons. It's amazing. You can't really put, you can't put words behind it, man. I mean, I was in awe, if you sit down and really like, wow, how did these people manage to really build these things?
No, it's definitely on my bucket list. I got to get over there, because you look at the links between Egypt and possibly the Yoruba people, and you look at the pyramids and you look at all these monuments. It does make you wonder, like, how. There's so many theories now. Like, I've heard recently telepathy. I've heard, obviously the extraterrestrials, the aliens. Even recently, like we talked about with me finding out about my Mali heritage and the Dogons and all those people. It definitely makes you wonder, but there is an energy there that's incomparable. Where else have you been? You went to Uganda, didn't you?
Yeah.
What's Africa like?
Africa's beautiful.
Yeah,
like Uganda's beautiful. Man.
A lot of people are scared to go over there. You think it's all propaganda?
I mean, a lot of it's propaganda. Sometimes, not to get too political. Some, powers that be like to sway you certain directions. But Uganda, they're beautiful people.
Yeah,
they're very beautiful people. Very proud people. Very entrepreneurial type of people. And they got a lot of history.
What's that spirituality over there like the things that are off the beaten path like us?
Oh, off the beaten path. I didn't, explore that too much, only a little bit. But I mean, there's like Islam. Of course, it's traditional. Islam, Christian is big out there. Because I went out there through family because my wife is Ugandan.
Of course.
And but as far as that, they definitely got the tradition out there.
Yeah.
Traditional.
The juju.
Yeah, you would call it a juju. Yeah, they definitely got that.
You talked to me about the marketplace over there. I think. Did you end up going?
Oh yeah. I went to the market. I didn't go to the fetish. I wanted to go to the Congo.
The fetish one is the one where they have like
everything. They got the monkey heads. They got the leopard skins. But I went to something almost similar.
Yeah.
But not that intense.
Yeah.
Where they got the statues and the carvings from different tribes.
Yeah, like the one you brought me back, man. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But no, Africa is the promised land. It's a beautiful place. I mean. It's so important for us to, I guess you look at the name of the show, Our Roots, right? No matter where it is, all that land is sacred. You know what I'm saying? It's where we come from ultimately. How did that experience kind of change you? And I know also on your bucket list, you're trying to go to Nigeria and stuff like that eventually. Yeah. What are you most looking forward to about that?
Even going to Oshun Festival or Egungun or, or some type of festival or something like that, some major festival out there, so I can mix and mingle, and get a taste of the culture and stuff like that, and learn a few things and experience some two things too. That's definitely that's up and coming.
Yeah,
that's going definitely up and coming.
No, yeah, definitely. We gotta make that happen. You know, John, I mean, your story is one I've been interested in since we first met. You've been through all of the phases of life, I think, to a certain degree now. I mean, up until this point, what can you say about life? Like, you know, for people who are striving to better themselves, whether it's through Ifa, you know, prison reform, what have you, what advice can you give them, especially with what Ifa can give them?
All right. Putting Ifa aside for now, I think this is life. We got to live it. The good, bad, and ugly. You got to live it. You know, and regardless, like I said, it's your choices. So you're gonna live the ugly if you make those choices. That's gonna lead you in that direction and give you that result. I just say, because everybody's born in different, positions and situations. You know, a lot of people is not born with a silver spoon in their mouth. A lot of people is not born with a knowledgeable spiritual Babalawo such as yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, so everybody comes in. Everything's in increments and degrees. Me personally, I think you should look for a mentor, somebody that's who knows more than you, who's wiser than you. You know what I mean? If you can't find it in the household, if you can't find it in the hand, whatever you got to look for, that, you know what I'm saying, that character that you can learn from, then you should do it. I think you know what I'm saying, you should just try to just strive and shoot and reach as high as you can go. You know, it's not easy. It's not no one recipe to fix all situations. I think even the bad things and the terrible things we go through can lead you to something, you know what I'm saying, such my example here at the foot of Orunmila, Ifa. But I think Ifa is definitely a tradition that will provide you a sound foundation for spirituality and a compass, you know what I'm saying, for life. You know?
What's next for 𝗀𝗻𝗿𝗲?
Is to learn more, learn as much as I can. I know that the more you learn, I mean, this may sound cliche, but the more you learn you don't know nothing.
The more you learn, the less you know.
Yeah, like you don't know nothing.
Chacho, the rabbit hole, it never ends.
Yes.
There's a carrot there, but, it keeps getting deeper.
And I think you become, I think you fall in love with learning. You know, once you start delving into things that, say whether it be Ifa or whether it be IT or whatever, once you start, applying yourself to something, you get a love for it if that's your passion.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like with anything that causes you pain, you end up loving it, whether it's the gym, whether it's the study. I think your 𝗀𝗲𝗏 is really the greatest testament to the learning and knowledge acquisition process. The best way to learn nothing is by trying to learn it all at once, right? And John, you've been an absolute delight, you know what I'm saying, becoming a part of our home, the example you provide, the person that you are. You're a testament to what Ifa can do. You're a testament to what, endearment and progress can do. And it's always been a pleasure to interact with you, and we can't wait as we continue.
I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. Phil, is it headphones time?
Yes.
I don't know what
John, put your headphones on. Yeah, we got to do the member shout outs.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And the really exciting part.
Such a great episode already, man. Wow, John. Great story. But it's time, guys.
My elevator music, man.
Member shout outs. So these are people who support the channel. And if you would like to support the channel, it's very, very simple. If you're watching this video, just hit the join button directly under it. And we have 3 separate tiers, all offering you guys separate perks. So
get in there.
Let's give a shout out to the VIPs.
VIPs.
We got Pink Door Divas.
Thank you, Pink Door.
Particles of Light.
Ah, the particles.
We got an upgraded Divine Destiny Healing.
Yes.
We got a shout out 𝘃𝗶𝗸𝗏.
𝘃𝗶𝗶𝗏. What's good, El?
And Blanca Cologne.
Blanca.
All right, let's shout out our super fans here.
Super.
We got Joaquin Mendez.
Joaquin, mi hao, bendiciones.
Just Tori.
Yes.
And Creole Flair.
Thank you, Creole.
So that is the membership shout outs for this week's show. So don't forget to join the membership program, guys.
Until next time, see the light, guys. 𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗍.